Welcome to Mia's Stories. Make sure to subscribe to never miss an update, and a lucky chance to video chat with me. I sat high in the stands, at the far end, away from everyone. They watched the game, I watched the cheerleaders. All pretty, slim, and cute, while I tried to look passable. This was my third time attending a game dressed as a girl. I always arrived late, left early, and wore a skirt, blouse, sweater, and flats, all bundled in my mother's coat. It took a long time to get here. I planned my first outing like a military operation. My parents went to our cabin on weekends, giving me the house to myself. Once they left, I went to my room and started changing. It took nearly 2 hours to get ready, including makeup. The hardest part was leaving my room, then the house, and rushing to my car unnoticed. The short drive felt like an eternity, my nerves fraying with every mile. I parked at the back of the lot, made it to the game, and found a seat alone. I stayed until the final 2 minutes, then headed back to my car and drove home. 3 hours. That's how long I was gone. Tonight, with a bit more confidence, I planned to get a burger at the drive-thru before returning home. Changing back into my boy clothes was the worst part. Every time I became Jessica, even for a short while, it became harder to revert to being a boy. I had to, but I hated it. I made it to the car in the drive-thru, got home on time, but saw my parents' car in the driveway. My heart sank. I sat there, trying to think of an explanation, but none came. With no other way in, I got out of the car, went to the back door, and cautiously stepped inside. I took one step, quietly closed the door, and moved to the foyer, aiming for the stairs to my room. No chance. Mom was waiting. Have a nice time at the game, dear. Take off your coat and let me see. I slipped off the coat, hung it up, and stood there, still shaking. Mom looked me over and only commented on my hair. She said my ponytail should have been higher and tighter. Then she motioned to the family room and pointed at the couch. I sat with my knees together and hands in my lap, wondering what she would do next. I knew you were going out dressed like this. Mrs. Benson saw a strange girl around after we left. Since you don't have a girlfriend or a sister, it had to be you. Your father is at the cabin with friends this weekend and doesn't know about this. Care to tell me how long this has been going on? A long time, I guess. That's what I thought. Now, tell me what you did tonight. It took me a while to start, but then everything spilled out. I confessed how I used to dress in her clothes as a child, then later in the few items I bought myself, like shoes. I explained that I couldn't just stay in my room and stare into the mirror anymore, so I took a chance and went to that first game, then 2 more. Tonight, I even tried a drive-thru without any issues. Mom listened quietly. When I finally sat there, tears of shame streaming down my face, she sat next to me, her arm around my shoulder. It didn't erase the shame, but it did ease my inner pain a bit. She held me for a while, then told me to get ready for bed and wash off the makeup. I rushed up the stairs, my skirt swaying, and my birdseed silicone forms bouncing in the cheap bra. It took me only half an hour to undress and shower. As I slipped into bed, I wondered what Mom would do. Telling Dad was out of the question. He would tear me apart. Mom never mentioned it again, but she always made sure I knew when they were leaving and when they would be back. It was her way of setting a schedule so Dad wouldn't catch me dressed as a girl. For almost 7 months, I enjoyed the freedom her careful scheduling provided. During this time, I expanded my meager wardrobe and occasionally found packages on my bed, usually a blouse, a skirt, and once even a package of panties. I knew they came from Mom, but I didn't know why she did it. I now had 5 skirts, 2 dresses, and 4 blouses. With my growing wardrobe and some hair and makeup tips from Mom, I got braver and started going to more places, like the movies and once, the mall. Driving home from a movie, a car pulled up next to me. Sneaking a peek, I saw a group of guys from school, the popular ones. They didn't recognize me, but the driver lost control and hit my car. Thankfully, a police car was right behind him and saw everything. My car was totaled, and I was in trouble. Terrified, I sat there with my license and insurance in hand, hoping the cop wouldn't notice how I was dressed. The kid driving the other car was arrested, an accident report was made, and then it was my turn. The cop, an older man, looked at my license, then back at me, smiled, and told me someone would take me home. I had a copy of the accident report, damp panties, and a whole lot of fear when the cop dropped me off at home. To top it all off, my parents had returned home before me because of the accident. My world was caving in. The police officer, a woman, patted my hand and told me to be brave. I had no choice but to get out of the police car and go inside. Mom saw me first, then Dad walked out of the den. His eyes widened as he stared at me and then noticed the blood on my hand. "What the hell happened to you and why are you dressed that way?" It all came out in a rush, but there was no mistaking his words or their meaning. At that moment, I felt like I had nothing left to lose. My carefully scheduled time as a girl was ruined, my car wrecked, and I was hurt both inside and out, angry, scared, and exhausted. Dad's glaring eyes didn't help, so I did the only thing I could. I sat on the couch as calmly as I could manage, looked him straight in the eye, and told him my car was wrecked. That's how I hurt my hand, and the reason for the blood. I explained the accident from start to finish. When I was done, he was concerned about my injury and wanted to take me to the hospital, but I told him the paramedics had let me go because it wasn't serious. Then he asked why I was dressed as a girl. I would have rather fought an alligator than tell him the truth, but I couldn't lie anymore. He didn't know because I hadn't told him, and no matter what Mom said or did, it was hurting me, them, and our family. I took a deep breath and told him I didn't want to be a boy. I told him I felt like a girl inside and had always felt this way. He turned purple, then red, stood up, then sat down, shook his head, gasped, and shook his fist before speaking again. He sounded calm, but I knew he wasn't. "You do understand that your real name is on that accident report, don't you?" "Yes, sir." "And the other boy has a copy of it?" "I guess. Oh no." "Oh yes. And didn't you say he attends the same school you do?" "Yes, sir." "Well, I can imagine what will happen when he sees your name there and remembers the girl he saw. How hard will it be for him to figure out who that girl really was?" "Oh no. I don't know how you're going to explain it, but you only have a few more months before you graduate, and we are not changing your school because you got caught wearing a dress." With that, he stumped back into the den and shut the door, leaving me with nothing to do but wash up. Mom was sympathetic, but there wasn't anything she could do. I had to face my classmates alone, with whatever story I could come up with. At that moment, I couldn't think of one. 17 years old and foolish. That's what I am. I didn't sleep well that night. The word fairy kept bouncing around in my head. I don't think of boys like that. I only want to be a girl. In the morning, I made sure there was no trace of makeup or perfume on me, then dressed in jeans and a regular shirt. Dad and I went to look at my car. The man at the collision shop said it was a total wreck, even though it didn't look like it. Something about the front end and engine. I had saved for years to buy that car, with some help from Mom and Dad, but it was mostly my money. I had bought a brand new car, small but efficient and nice looking. Now it was just junk. The upside, according to the insurance man, was that I'd get a new one. Dad and I made the arrangements at the dealer, and I drove home in a brand new car, just like the one I had before, except this one was blue. Dad never mentioned my dressing as a girl until we got home. I called our attorney Sam, and he says there's no law against dressing as a girl, so no one can legally hold it against you. Yeah, maybe out here, but at school. You were the one dressed as a girl, and you told me you want to be a girl, so you'll have to deal with it. Dad's words offered no comfort. His disappointment and anger simmered just below the surface, ready to boil over. I knew the worst was yet to come. I dreaded stepping into school on Monday, certain my life would change forever, but there was nothing I could do. I spent the weekend checking out my new car and buying floor mats. Monday morning came, and I had no choice but to drive to school. Walking in, I expected jeers and taunts, but I made it to my locker without incident. No one said a word to me, not even the guys who had been in the car. I stayed on edge all day, wondering what they were planning. By the time I got home, I was exhausted from the tension and just wanted to collapse on my bed. An hour later, the kid who wrecked my car called. I expected a warning about what was coming, but he only apologized for the accident and asked to talk in person. He was popular, and I wasn't. The only reason I agreed to meet him was the hope that he might not want to trash me at school but blackmail me instead. I had nothing to give, just my car. I told him to come to my house. I wasn't meeting him on his turf. He showed up half an hour later. Sorry about your car, Kenny. It was an accident. Yeah, thanks. I got a new one because of it. He stared at me, making me wonder what was on his mind. That girl driving your car, does she come over often? Why? I thought she was cute and wanted to meet her. I doubt it, Sam. She's afraid of you. Why? Because you and your friends could ruin her socially, and even if you say you won't, how can you control the others who were in the car that night? None of them know about the girl. I'm the only one who saw the accident report, and I want to take her out to dinner to apologize. I wasn't tempted. I didn't trust him, and knew he could make my life miserable if he spread rumors. But I didn't say that. He might mean it, but I doubted it. All I said was, maybe, and he accepted that. Tell her I won't jerk her around, Kenny. I mean it. I think she's a fox, and I just want to meet her. Talking about myself as that girl felt surreal, but it was the only way without directly admitting it was me. He knew, and I knew, who the girl was, but neither of us mentioned it outright. He left shortly after, leaving me to ponder the truth. Unbeknownst to me, Mom had overheard our conversation. I retreated to my room to play on my computer, hoping to find some resolution. However, Mom had another idea for resolving things with Sam while keeping me safe. An hour later, she came to my room and sat on the bed. I could tell she was up to something. I heard what that boy said to you. Maybe you should let him meet you, as the girl he ran into. By the way, I don't even know her name. No chance, Mom, and the name I use is Jessica. Isn't the garden prom about a month away? Yeah, why? Well, if Sam took you to the garden prom, he couldn't tell anyone you're a boy. It's almost like a prom, with tuxedos for the guys and prom dresses for the girls, a fancy dinner and all that. It would cost him several $100s, so he wouldn't just throw it away to embarrass you. Think about it. If you went to the dance with him, it would confirm you as a girl. Sam is very popular, and he only dates attractive girls, which offers you some built-in safety. Me? Go to the garden prom as a girl? No way, Mom. All it would take is one person to recognize me, and I'd be done for. Besides, even if I agreed, Dad already thinks I'm weird. Imagine how he'd react seeing me in a prom dress, waiting for a boy to pick me up for a date. I wouldn't mind the dress, but I won't do anything to make Dad angrier. He barely talks to me anymore. Your father is confused right now, honey. In his world, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. You change that, and he's struggling to cope and understand. Remember, he saw you when you were hurt, tired, and scared. I bet if he saw you all dressed up, with hair, nails, makeup, and a beautiful gown, he'd be less likely to be angry. He might even see you more as a daughter than you think. 1. I can't afford all that. 2. I don't trust Sam at all. And 3. I don't believe Dad will react the way you say. You're wrong about that. Your father had a sister, Kate, who was your age when she died in an accident. You look so much like her that it's almost scary. When you were hurt in that accident, he had a flashback and saw Kate again, bleeding and hurt, but not dead, sitting on the couch in front of him. He called me a fairy. Mom, I'm not like that. I just want to be a girl. We were both trapped in a vicious circle. Dad was right about the difference between boys and girls, but I never saw it that way. For me, it was about the clothes and how I felt inside, not about gender. Mom offered to pay for the gown and getting my hair and nails done, but I couldn't bring myself to consider it. She told me to think about it and left me alone. Alone, I let my mind drift to the possibility of doing what she suggested. I never thought I looked cute, but Sam said I did. Mom said I'd be safe from reprisals if I went to the dance with Sam, simply because he would have invested so much. Maybe she was right. Dad came home, and over dinner, he did something I had never heard him do before. He apologized for calling me a fairy, then he started to cry. He told me he was driving when Kate was killed, and seeing me brought back those memories because I looked so much like her. I had never seen my father cry, not even when he hurt himself badly, so this really affected him. He quietly wiped his eyes and looked up at me. Your mother tells me that when you're all dressed up, you look very nice. I want you to do just that. I want you to get dressed up and let me see this daughter you've hidden from us for so long. I was shocked and couldn't respond. I looked at Mom, who was also shaken by Dad's request, but she simply said that on Saturday he would meet his daughter Jessica. Dinner was quiet after that as we all processed what was about to happen. My tough, manly father wanted to see me dressed as a girl, and he called me his daughter. I had no idea what he was thinking, but because he asked, I knew he wouldn't hurt me. I wondered which of my few skates wouldn't make me look silly. Mom didn't say a word as I went to my room. I wasn't looking forward to doing this for Dad. I mean, I'm his son, and that's what he wanted me to be. I want to be a girl, and that's the conflict. Mom, however, called me into her bedroom on Saturday morning and told me it was time to start. The minute I walked in, she took charge. She had me stripped to my shorts and coated me with a cream that removed all my body hair. I shaved as close as possible, washed my hair, and rejoined her. I hadn't noticed the bags on her bed before, but now she held out a pair of brand new panties for me to slip on. She helped me with my makeup, and for the first time, I actually looked like a girl. My face had a smooth matte look. My eyes were done in shades of green and gray with black eyeliner outlined with a black pencil, and coral blusher highlighted my cheeks. Mom worked on my hair, using a few rollers and her curling iron, and created a beautiful hairstyle she called a page boy with a mix of flip. I had never looked this good before. Then came a waist nipper and a new bra Mom called a push-up. It did exactly what the name implied, pushing the excess flesh of my chest into the bra cups. With 2 small foam pads, I had a womanly chest. Pantyhose that gave me shivers as I pulled them on, a short white slip of Mom's, and then a dress I'd never seen before. It was black, a sheath with a round neck and no sleeves. I carefully slipped it over my head, Mom zipped it up, and I stepped into black heels. She had me stand in front of the mirror, and for the first time, I saw the girl I always knew was inside me, not a clown, but the real girl. I felt a lipstick being placed in my hand, and I quickly applied the bright red to my lips. Even better, Mom handed me small gold earrings, which I put on while she fastened a gold necklace around my neck. Then came a thin gold watch with a stretchy band and a spritz of perfume. Ready? No. Yes. He won't get mad, will he? No, honey, he won't get mad. Now, shall we introduce Jessica to her father? Mom took my hand and led me out of the room and down the stairs, but let go as we neared the family room. I was on my own as my heels clicked on the hardwood floor, nearing the doorway. I stopped, and he looked up at me. His eyes went wide, his mouth opened then shut, and he stood up and walked over to me. His eyes traveled from my head to my heels and back before he spoke. You look like my sister. Too damned much like her. Your hair, your eyes, the same. Same size. He stepped back, his eyes never leaving me. You look just like Kate. I don't know if I can take this. I had to say something, anything, to make him understand that I am what I am, and I am not his sister Kate. Dad, I'm not your sister. I'm Jessica. Kate, I took Dad's hands in mine and looked him in the eye. Tears welled up in his eyes, threatening to spill as he stared at me. I squeezed his hand and then stepped back. We were both filled with emotion and fear, each for different reasons, but we were bound together by blood and memories. I needed Dad to accept that I was different, and I had to convince him that I was not Kate reincarnated. The tense atmosphere lingered as we tried to find common ground. Finally, Mom took my hand and had me sit on the couch next to her. Calm and serene, she held my hand as we watched Dad sit in his chair. I wanted to run away, to rid myself of the demon inside that told me I was a girl, and become the man he expected. Instead, I was frozen on the couch, unable to deny the truth inside me. His lips quivered whenever he looked at me, yet the softness he tried to hide was there, written on his face in tears and a tense smile. Time passed slowly. Mom squeezed my hand in support as I stood, perched in the heels, my knees together like a girl. I took 2 steps to his chair, raised my hand, and he took it. Suddenly, he sprang out of his chair and hugged me, his bear-like arms encircling me. I let myself relax and enjoy it. Dad didn't show affection well, And for him to hug me, dressed this way, was his way of telling me he would try to accept it. The phone rang, breaking into our moment. Mom answered it, but I ignored her, focused solely on my father. I used a finger to wipe away his tears even as my own streamed down my cheeks. That was the boy who ran into your car. He and his mother are on their way over, and they'll be here in about 30 minutes. I better go change. My father's deep, resounding no made me spin in place and look at him. This is my house, and I decide the rules here. You live here too, and if I say it's okay for you to dress as a girl, then you will. If this boy and his mother have any questions about that, they can address them to me. Go fix your face, but stay dressed as you are. We'll see what kind of man this boy is. Whoa. Dad just told me to put some makeup on. I was so shocked that I didn't move right away, but Mom grabbed me by the elbow and we went to her bedroom. After she shut the door, she hugged me. Be the best girl you know how to be, Jessica, and we'll all learn to manage this together. She watched as I removed my eye makeup and redid it, then touched up my lipstick. I was just finishing when we heard the doorbell ring. Mom told me to stay in the room and she would call for me, so I sat at the vanity. For Sam to see me this way, with both of my parents there, would send him a strong message. I only hoped he had the sense to keep it to himself. It seemed like forever, then I heard Mom call me. Every fiber in my being told me this was the worst thing I could do, but Dad had insisted, so I opened the door and took that first step. After that, while not easy, everything seemed to flow together, one step after another, until I was in the family room. I did my best to be as feminine as possible and forced a smile I didn't feel. Dad looked impassive. Mom was smiling. Sam's eyes were wide, and his mother looked grim. You are the girl that Sam ran into. I nodded, but didn't say anything. I read that accident report, young lady, and it says that you are a boy. I demand to know what's going on here. That got my father's anger up, which isn't the best thing to do. Madam, how we dress our children is none of your concern. You will not make demands in my home, nor will you question our ethics, how we let our daughter dress, or anything else. Your son caused the accident, not Jessica. He was the one arrested, not Jessica, and he will pay for the damages. Any other questions? Clearly, she was shaken by his frontal attack. She, like Sam, was used to getting her way and having people kowtow to her. But Dad wasn't like that. She approached it all wrong. Sam and I sat there as our parents glared at each other. Inwardly, I was smiling, but I kept a calm face and let Dad handle it. Well, we'll see about this. I'm going to call the police and file a report about your son. Dad didn't even flinch. Jessica, how did you get home the night of the accident? A police officer brought me home. Please do as you wish, madam. But keep in mind that any mention of this outside this room will result in a lawsuit for defamation, damages, and whatever else we can think of. Now then, if there's nothing else. The woman stood up and stalked to the door, leaving Sam sitting there. She waited a moment, but he didn't move. Are you coming, Samson? Mother, sometimes you can be such an ass. No, I'm not coming. I'm staying here to talk to Jessica. She slammed the door on her way out, leaving us all grinning. Mom took Dad's hand and left Sam and me alone. You look real nice, Jessica. Thanks. My mother thinks she can fix anything. Don't mind her. After she talks to our lawyer and finds out the facts, she'll calm down. In fact, I'll bet she invites all of you to our house for dinner as a way of an apology. My dad can be very stubborn, Sam. Tell her that. If she tries and fails, Dad will be on her like a cat on a mouse, and like the cat, he'll kill the mouse. Tell her that, will you? No. I'll let her find out for herself. Sam walked over to me and held out his hands. I took them and he pulled me to my feet. We were mere inches apart, his eyes glistening as he looked at me. I felt his hand slip around my waist, then the gentle pressure to move me closer to him. I'm not at all what you might think, Jessica, and I am not like my mother. All I want to do is get to know you better. You can have any girl you want. Why me? Easy. You're the girl I want. Just then his lips touched mine. An electric shock ran down my spine as our lips touched. The passion in that kiss wasn't in the length it lasted, it was in the gentle way he did it. Like a whisper against my skin, yet I could feel my skin developing duck bumps. I had let another boy kiss me. I wasn't ready for that, and I pulled away from him, yet I couldn't tear my eyes away from him. I had dreamed of this happening, of course, but until this very moment, that's what it was. A dream. Now, Sam had brought it to life, and I had stepped over the line. I had kissed another boy. Now there was no going back. If I never kissed another boy, I would forever carry this memory with me. I would taste his lips on mine, smell his aftershave, and remember. Sam was smiling at me, his eyes wide open as he pulled me closer. Then, his lips touched mine again. Not gentle. I could sense his eagerness, which combined with my newfound freedom, could lead me down a road I was still scared to think about. So I broke away, just as Mom walked into the room. By the look on her face, I know she knew what I had done, but all she said was for me to get my purse, as she and I were going out for a while. Sam quickly backed away and smiled at Mom. I went to get my purse. Mom dropped Sam off at home, then she and I drove to a small shopping center. You need panties and bras of your own, Jessica, and I thought that we might find a skirt, maybe two, and a few tops you like. I followed Mom inside and we walked to the laundry section. Just looking at some of those panties made me hurt. Nothing more than a few straps and some hope. Mom settled the matter by telling me that a full panty fits better. I selected 2 packages of panties in assorted colors. 4 bras. Mom bought 2 more of those special bras, one in white and one in peach. A tan skirt, a white jumper, and blouses in pink and white plus brown and pink pullover tops. Mom also let me get a pair of plain white flats. I now had more clothes of my own than ever. On the way home, she stopped at a small ice cream shop. Over cones, she and I talked. This fellow Sam really likes you, Jessica. Maybe. No, maybe, honey, and you know it. That's why you let him kiss you. Your father and I talked about this, and we don't see any way that you'll stop dressing up, which is why we bought you those clothes. But you have to at least try to be the best girl you can be. There can't be any middle ground, Jessica. None. Your father does not understand you at all right now, but he's trying, so you have to help him. Just do your best, okay? Okay, Mom, but... No buts, Jessica. It's all or nothing. To help you do your best, we're going to make a stop to see a friend of mine. You'll like her. She makes all sorts of things for people. Like what? You'll see. Mom stopped the car in front of a small shop that looked almost deserted and led the way in. It smelled like a mix of paint, glue, and something earthy, but the place was spotless inside. A woman about Mom's age came out, took one look, and started squealing. Cindy, how are you? I'm fine, Paula. This is my daughter, Jessica. She needs some of your magic. I see. Well, come to the back and tell me all about it. Paula made custom silicone forms. Mom explained that as a boy, I needed a woman-like chest and hips if she could manage it. Paula didn't even blink. She showed me a changing room and told me to strip down to my panties so she could make molds and check my skin tone. Paula acted as if it was the most normal thing in the world, even for a male. Quiet and methodical, she mixed and poured like an alchemist, crafting her special brew to transform me into a girl. I watched as she made 2 sets of silicone forms and 2 panties. The panties were designed to tuck and smooth everything, keeping me out of the way, as she put it. I had no idea what she meant by that. She applied the first set of silicone forms to my chest with a light glue that she said would wash off easily, just peel and wash. The panty was complicated to put on, but she helped me, explaining that I would have to sit to pee and that the glue she used would last for several months. This way, you can attend school, and nobody will know. But when you dress as a girl, you'll be complete. Besides, you only have a few months to go, don't you? Yes, but... You'll just have to sit down from now on, Jessica, just like every other girl in the world. As long as you don't undress around any boys, you'll be fine. The only thing that might be a problem is that you have the small pouch women have, and of course a tapering groin, and with wider hips, that will make your pants fit differently. You might want to get a couple of pair that are a size bigger. I looked in the mirror and saw a girl standing there. It looked as if I had all the right parts anyway. I felt my heart rising into my throat, but held back and quickly went to put my own clothes back on. Wearing a bra is totally different if you actually have something to put in it, which I found out as I struggled to put it on. My panties fit a lot better now, and I left the padded panty brief on the small bench. As I stepped out, Mom gave me a hug and Paula told me to come back when I was ready to have the silicone forms attached with a really good glue. Mom took me home, and I went to my room so that I could look at myself one more time. In the beginning it was a desire to dress that led me to take such chances as going to a game, but now it was more, much more than that, and certainly not a game. I slipped on my panties, and had just fastened my bra, when the door opened and I saw Dad standing there. He averted his eyes for a moment, and I knew that he was both shocked and embarrassed seeing me like this. I boldly turned to face him, so he could see what I felt. He looked up, but didn't say anything. Dad, this is what I should have looked like all along. I know that you don't understand me. I'm not sure I do either, but for the first time in my life I feel complete. I went to him and took his hands in mine and held them for a moment, then slipped my arms around him and hugged him. I felt his arms as he encircled me, then grew tighter. We held each other for a long time. Then, "You look like you need to put some clothes on. I'm not used to seeing half-dressed girls running around the house." He left, and I quickly slipped on a skirt and blouse, my shoes, and went downstairs. Mom and Dad were in the office with the door closed, so I watched a little television. We ate dinner without a word about how I was dressed, and that night I had to carefully peel the silicone forms off before I went to bed. Paula had been right about my pants, and I could wear jeans without looking like a girl from the waist down, so I wore my dress slacks, which were only a little better. Sam said hi, but other than that it was a very boring day. I wanted to be wearing a dress or skirt, but of course, I couldn't, and that made the day seem very long. I did find out that having to sit for all functions was a pain, especially wearing slacks, but it was worth it to me. On Friday, the minute I got home I changed clothes, and was just putting my lipstick on when the phone rang. It was Sam's mother. She invited the three of us to join them for dinner at their country club the next day, at 7. It seems Sam knew his mother very well. I accepted, then sat back. I wanted to shock that broad silly, but I didn't know how. When Mom got home about an hour later, I told her about the invitation and what I wanted to do. Mom gave it less than a moment's thought, then told me to be ready to go out early the next morning. I just knew she had something in mind. As soon as I had my makeup on, I got dressed and joined Mom for breakfast. "What do you think about getting our hair and nails done? Then we'll find you a dress that will make that witch mind her mouth." "Sounds good to me." We left before Dad was even up and went straight to the salon. I sat in the chair and, with the help of a stylist, picked out a hairstyle she said would look wonderful on me and wasn't a perm. As she worked on me, I saw Mom getting her hair done by another stylist. I had to sit under the dryer for a bit, and another lady did my nails, making them slightly longer and filing them to a rounded end, then painting each one a dark red. She assured me that without the polish, my nails would look okay as a male, which told me that Mom had filled her in on everything. My hair was styled in a curly page boy with drop bangs and waves, giving me a definitely feminine look. I was elated at the changes, and so was Mom. From the salon, we went to the mall to find the perfect dress. It was clear that Mom had something specific in mind, so I just followed along and let her look, although I did see a few dresses I liked. She found it at a shop that mostly sold prom dresses. The one she picked out was all red, a sheath with a fitted bodice, a V-cut neckline, and was sleeveless. Mom handed it to me and pointed at the changing booth, so I went in to try it on. It was tight, and I almost got it zipped up. My bra straps were showing, as well as a lot of cleavage, and I was sure she would say no, but she said it was just fine, bought the dress, and we left. "Mom, the dress doesn't fit me, so why buy it?" "It was only tight across the bodice, dear, and there are plenty of ways to fix that, which is where we're going now." The next stop was at Vicky's closet, where Mom had me try on a red corselet. After she tightened the laces, the dress fit just fine, but in the meantime, I felt as if I couldn't breathe. We also picked up red satin panties to match. Then, in the shoe store, red patent leather ankle strap heels with an open toe. For jewelry, red and white rhinestone chandelier earrings with a choker necklace to match. It was about 2, and Mom said it was time to go home and begin to get ready. Once I was in my room, Mom did the cream thing to remove any stray hair, that told me to run a bubble bath. It was wonderful, by the way, and every inch of my skin felt soft and silky smooth. Of course, I reattached the silicone forms. Well, Mom did, and used the makeup stick Paula gave me to hide the very thin seams. Those satin panties were wonderfully soft, and felt great sliding up my legs, but when I had them on, I could see that they were the newer high-cut French-style panties, and outlined my new gender even better than the cotton ones. I had expected Mom to lace me into the corselet, but she told me to do my makeup first, so I went into the bath and took out my box of cosmetics. My makeup went on so easy, and turned out so well that I just knew that the plan Mom had cooked up was going to work. When I was ready, Mom laced me into the corselet. Huff and puff, grunt and groan was about the way to describe it as she made my waist a trim 24 inches. The built-in bra hiked up my chest so high that they threatened to spill out. Rather than pantyhose, Mom helped me slip on the hose, then fasten them to the garter tabs. I had never worn hose, and it felt really strange, although it looked sexy as hell. I slipped dress over my head, Mom zipped it up, and when I had it on, the slightly higher neckline fixed the threat of spillage, but I was sure displaying a lot of charms. The hemline was above my knees, so I had a display going on at both ends, which I was sure Mom had planned on, especially based on the way she was looking at me. I had a bit of trouble fastening the ankle strap, but she let me do it alone. Then she went to her room and I finished on my own. The earrings were first, then the choker necklace. I thought I glittered like a disco ball, but I liked it. I finished my makeup, adding blusher and red lipstick, then some perfume. When I came out of the bath, Dad was standing there. His eyes fixed on my face, then roamed down my figure, now just as feminine as any woman, and back to my face. "I want you to wear this, Jessica." It was Kate's. He handed me a small box. When I opened it, I saw a ruby stone surrounded by several small diamonds. "I want you to have this and wear it tonight. It's all I have of hers, and you?" "Okay, Dad. Thanks." I hugged him and then tried on the ring. It was too small, so I used some soap to get it on, hoping I could remove it later. I showed him the ring on my finger, and he leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. Before I could say anything, he went into his bedroom and shut the door. I looked in the mirror and saw the girl of my dreams standing there. Trim figure, 36-24-36, 5 feet 6 inches tall, with brown hair highlighted with auburn, and green eyes accented with gray and plum eyeshadow, outlined in black. Even when Sam had kissed me, I never felt this way before. I had become the girl I always wanted to be. Now all I had to do was prove it. Mom looked wonderful in her royal blue sheath dress, her blonde hair accented with silver barrette. She didn't look 38 years old. Dad wore his gray suit and looked like a wealthy banker. We all stared at each other for a moment. Then Mom started to giggle. She took my hand, and we walked down the stairs together. Dad had set up his camera and posed us in a particular spot, then the flash. He also took several more photos of just me, close-ups and full-figure shots. "You just play along, Jessica. The whole point is to make her realize she was wrong. I told you I don't fully understand why you need to do this, but since it's a fact, and you're my daughter, I'm not going to let some old woman nag you or threaten us. You'll know what to do when the time comes, but watch what you say, and don't let her provoke you." "Okay, Daddy." "Daddy." "Sure. Why not?" "Indeed. Why not?" Dad drove us, of course. He let the valet park the car, and with Mom on his right arm and me on his left, we walked in together. Sam met us inside. His eyes widened when he saw me, but Dad's steady pressure on my elbow told me to remain silent. Sam led the way to the table where his parents were waiting. It was worth all the effort when his mother saw me. Her eyes went wide, her mouth flopped open, and she was at a loss for words as Sam seated us, with me right next to him. "My wife has made an error, I'm afraid. She said something she shouldn't have, and we asked you here to apologize." His eyes drifted to my ample cleavage, then back to my dad. "Is it true? Are you a male?" Dad squeezed my hand hard, and I kept my mouth shut. "The gender of our daughter is not up for discussion, sir. All you need to understand is that she is our daughter. Her name is Jessica Lynn. Any other information you need, you can decide for yourself by looking at her. But the accident report—" "Be quiet, woman. You've caused enough trouble with those wild threats against this girl. Please, Be quiet. Sam's mother was clearly angry at her husband, but she kept her mouth shut. Let me make myself perfectly clear, madam. If you attempt to defame my daughter, I will not hesitate to sue you. She is our daughter, and if necessary, we can prove that. Now, are there any questions about my position on this matter? No one said a word, so Dad stood up, as did Mum. I joined them. We'll be going now. I prefer to dine with people I like, and you, madam, I don't like. A word of advice before we leave. Check your facts before attacking someone or making threats. Listen to your husband. He seems to have all the sense in the family. She turned purple with rage, and to make matters worse, Sam stood up as well. I think I'll join Jessica and her parents. They're the only ones with any class here, Mother. Don't wait up. With that, Sam took my arm, Mom took Dad's, and we walked out together. I felt incredibly proud of my father at that moment. He stood up for me and affirmed me as his daughter. His daughter! Those words echoed in my mind, and I cherished every syllable. Sam helped me into the car, and then Dad drove us to a very fancy restaurant where he had reservations. After we were seated and had some coffee, Sam asked me if I would go with him to the garden prom. I glanced at Dad, who looked calm, and at Mum, who was smiling at me. I'd like that, Sam. But what about your parents? Won't they be angry with you, especially your mother? Sam looked at all of us and smiled. My dad predicted what would happen, and it did. He could have written it as a script. It was so accurate. Right now, my mother is stewing because she knows everyone else is right, and there's nothing she can do about it. Dad will make sure she doesn't do anything stupid. She'll cool down, and with how Jessica looks, she'll have her own doubts. No sweat. So, will you be my date to the dance? I'd like that, Sam. Dinner was wonderful, filled with good food, lots of laughs, and later, dancing. Sam held me close when we danced, but a few times, I caught him staring at me, which was the whole point of the dress. Mum knew what would happen, and the dress was a way for Dad to reinforce the idea that I am a girl and to create doubt. But in Sam's eyes, I am a girl, and he wants me. I could tell by the way he held me close. Dad drove Sam home, and when I was alone in my room, I understood the power a woman has over a man. As I looked in the mirror, I saw only a woman. I was ready to say to hell with it and just go to school this way, but I knew my parents would never allow it. Mom unlaced the corset and then left me to undress. In the morning, I wore a bra with a tee and my jeans, without makeup, my hair a bit of a mess. Dad said nothing, and after the dishes were done, I went to my room to try and brush my hair out myself. I also did a bit of makeup. Sam came over around 1. He and I sat on the patio talking. I was still wondering what he saw in me. After all, he knew I was a male, regardless of what Dad had said. Only the special panty lay between me and the truth. Dad really tore into my mother last night, Jessica. He told me this morning that he would make sure she behaves, but you really confused her, especially in that dress. Dad said she's not quite as sure as she was before, because of your build. My enlarged chest, you mean? Well, yeah. You had them hiked up there pretty good, Jessica. Is she the only one I confused? At first, no. You're so damn pretty that I sort of expected it. I got her some soft drinks. Then he asked me if I wanted to go to the afternoon game. I would be right back where I started from. At a game. Of course I said yes, but I went to change into a skirt and blouse, fix my makeup, and add some perfume. Sam drove, and sat as close to him as I could. We sat high in the bleachers, watching as our team lost. He waved at a few friends that we both knew, but I did nothing since they would not know me this way. On the way home, Sam stopped at the park, took me into his arms, and kissed me. Not quickly, not gently, but with passion and eagerness. His tongue pushed against my lips and I accepted him, then let his hand find, and hold, my chest. I wanted to prove that I was a girl, without actually getting into trouble. So when his hand slipped under my skirt and his fingers found me, I relished the look on his face when he discovered a girl, and not a boy. His eyes went wide, then he smiled at me. But I thought you were I mean, didn't you hear my father say I was his daughter and that we could prove it? Well, yes, but Did I prove it? Oh, yes. He put my hand on him, but I quickly pulled it away and kissed him back. The news that I really was a girl would reach his parents, likely his father, and my troubles would dissipate. For the next 2 months, I embraced being Jessica whenever I wasn't in school. It became widely known that Sam was dating a new girl whom nobody seemed to recognize. We kept it that way for good reason. About a week after the dinner with his parents, Mom received a letter from Sam's mother apologizing for her remarks and actions. She stated that she was now convinced I was really a girl and would no longer question it. That's when I knew the message I sent via Sam had hit the bullseye. For the prom, I went to the salon and had my hair and nails done, picked out a dress with Mom, and did all the other things girls do to get ready for a big event. My dress was a pale blue chiffon and satin ensemble that showed off my figure perfectly. I had been wearing a tight waist nipper and dieting, resulting in a natural 26-inch waist. The strapless dress had a sweetheart neckline, tapered to my 23-inch cinched waist, then fled out and dropped to the floor. Mom said I looked like a princess with the tiara in my hair. Sam picked me up, Dad took pictures, and at the prom, Sam proudly walked me down the center aisle. I had long lost my fear of being discovered, especially with the panties and the silicone forms Mom attached using the really good glue. I was introduced to kids I had known all my life without getting a single strange look. Later, after the dance, he and I went to dinner. When I thought he was taking me to the park again, he drove to a small motel on the outskirts of town. Our eyes locked as I had to decide right then if I would do this. This was no longer a game, but the real deal. Sam opened my door, took my hand, and helped me out of the car. As if I was in a trance, I let him lead me into the room. I watched as he removed his jacket, tie, and shoes. Then he came to me, put his arms around me, and unzipped my dress. As it fell to the floor and I saw the look on his face, I knew. I reached out and touched him. After that it was a whirl of groping, passionate, kissing and holding, exploration and desire, all rolled up into a frenzy of lovemaking. I did things that I never once considered, but I didn't mind, because I'm a woman, and a woman knows how to treat a man. The special panty worked just fine, by the way. All I had to do was clean up. Sam took me home about 10 the next morning, and I went straight to my room, took a shower, and went to bed. I got up around 2, put on some shorts and top, no bra, makeup or shoes, and stumbled into the kitchen. Orange juice, a donut, and some quiet. I had it all, until Mom walked in. Late night. You were a bad girl, weren't you? Well, no. Sam said it was wonderful, and I agree, Mother. What now? Those are acrylic nails, and they won't come off for a long time. You still have the graduation ceremony. I'll take the polish off, and right after graduation, I'll come home and change. Once I do, I'm never wearing male clothes again. No. You will wear a nice dress, with your hair done when you graduate. Then we'll all go out to dinner and celebrate. After that, you can toss all of your male clothes. And that's exactly what I did. I wore a white sheath dress with white sandals when I graduated. Almost everyone who saw me gaped when they heard my real name, but the ceremony went quickly, and we left shortly after. Dad had started calling me kitten a few weeks back, and I have to admit that I liked it. Sam joined the Navy and disappeared from my life. I went to a local college, earned a degree in business, and then went to work for a huge manufacturing plant. Oh, did I mention that my doctor helped me become a woman? Well, he did, and now, at age 23, I have completed my journey. It all started as a game. Now, as I sit here in the bleachers watching our team win, a strange sense of déjà vu washes over me. If you enjoyed this story and want to show your support, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Also, for every comment with 69, you could have a chance to video chat with me. Thanks for your time.